I woke up to the sound of a faint whisper, my heart pounding in my chest. The room was shrouded in darkness, with only a sliver of moonlight seeping through the half-closed curtains. A chill ran down my spine as I realized something was terribly wrong. I reached for the lamp beside my bed, but the switch clicked uselessly, offering no light. Fear began to grip me as I fumbled for my phone, desperate to break free from the suffocating darkness. With trembling hands, I managed to find it and turned on the flashlight. The narrow beam cut through the blackness, revealing the empty room. However, the eerie silence persisted, broken only by the distant sound of my own rapid breathing. As I stepped out of the room, a sense of foreboding filled the air. Each creaking floorboard seemed to echo like a haunting whisper, playing tricks on my mind. The house felt alive, watching me, waiting for a moment of weakness to strike. A flickering light from the hallway revealed shifting shadows that danced along the walls, intensifying my growing unease. I descended the stairs cautiously, my steps faltering with each uncertain landing. The air grew heavy, charged with an otherworldly presence that sent shivers down my spine. A gust of wind howled through the broken window, carrying with it an unnerving whisper that chilled me to my core. It seemed as if the house itself was speaking, murmuring secrets I was not meant to hear. I entered the dimly lit living room, its worn furniture and faded wallpaper adding to the macabre atmosphere. Suddenly, a portrait on the wall caught my attention. The figure depicted within it had hollow eyes that seemed to follow my every move. I tried to look away, but its gaze held me captive, its expression eternally trapped in a sinister grin. As I lay there, paralyzed with fear, a faint scratching sound echoed from the hallway. It was slow and deliberate, sending chills down my spine. I mustered the courage to get out of bed and investigate despite the overwhelming dread that consumed me. I hesitantly stepped into the abandoned house, my heart pounding in my chest. The air was thick with a musty smell, and the floorboards creaked ominously beneath my weight. As I moved further into the darkness, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. The house had a long history of eerie tales and unexplained happenings. Locals whispered about a family that had once lived there, only to disappear without a trace. Some claimed they could still hear faint cries and laughter echoing through the halls late at night. My flashlight flickered weakly, casting eerie shadows on the cracked walls. I pressed on, driven by a mixture of curiosity and an uneasy sense of foreboding. Suddenly, a gust of wind extinguished my flashlight, plunging me into complete darkness. Panic set in as I fumbled for my lighter, desperately trying to bring back some form of light. As the flame danced, casting eerie shadows on the walls, I caught a glimpse of something in the corner of my eye. A figure, tall and gaunt, stood motionless in the hallway. My heart raced, and a chill ran down my spine. The figure seemed almost ethereal, a dark specter blending with the shadows. Fear gripped me as I took a step back, but something compelled me to stay. The figure's eyes glowed a sickly yellow, fixated on me. It raised a long, bony finger, beckoning me closer. Against my better judgment, I found myself inching forward, unable to resist its sinister allure. With every step, the temperature dropped, and the air grew heavy with an otherworldly presence. The sound of whispers filled my ears, as if 100 voices were speaking in hushed tones. The figure remained motionless, its presence suffocating. Suddenly, a piercing shriek echoed through the house, shattering the eerie silence. The figure's face contorted into a grotesque grin, revealing rows of sharp, jagged teeth. I froze, terror coursing through my veins as the walls around me seemed to close in. Whispers turned into laughter, growing louder and more deranged with each passing second. Shadows danced on the walls, mocking me, as I desperately searched for an escape. But the house seemed to have a mind of its own, trapping me in its clutches. With each passing moment, the figure grew closer, its footsteps echoing through the hallway. I could feel its presence consuming me, suffocating my thoughts. I closed my eyes, hoping it was all just a nightmare. But when I opened them, the figure was inches away, its grotesque face contorted with malicious delight. As the figure reached out its skeletal hand, a surge of adrenaline coursed through me. I turned and sprinted, my heart pounding in my chest. The house seemed to come alive, the walls pulsating and shifting as if they were breathing. I could hear the figure's unearthly shrieks behind me, growing fainter with every step. Finally, I burst through the front door, gasping for breath as I stumbled into the moonlit night. I looked back at the house, its dark silhouette against the night sky, and vowed never to return. The horror that lurked within those walls was something I could never forget, a chilling reminder of the terrors that lie hidden in the shadows. I woke up in the middle of the night, covered in a cold sweat. The room was eerily silent, and a shiver ran down my spine as I realized something was wrong. The faint glow of the moon filtered through the window, casting eerie shadows on the walls. I sat up in bed, my heart pounding in my chest. I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. It was as if a pair of invisible eyes followed my every move, lurking in the darkness. The air felt heavy, suffocating, and an overwhelming sense of dread settled over me. I reluctantly swung my legs over the edge of the bed and took a deep breath, trying to convince myself that it was just my imagination playing tricks on me. I tiptoed towards the bedroom door, hesitant to disturb the silence. As I reached for the doorknob, a sudden gust of wind blew through the room, causing the door to creak open on its own. My heart skipped a beat. I stepped into the dimly lit hallway, my footsteps echoing with an eerie resonance. The house seemed different at night, as if it had transformed into a labyrinth of shadows and secrets. Each step I took, the floorboards groaned beneath me, adding to my unease. A flickering light caught my attention, emanating from the corner of my eye. I turned my head slowly, my heart pounding louder with each passing moment. The light led me to the staircase, where a single candle burned on the steps, its flame dancing wildly in the stillness. Fear gripped me, but a morbid curiosity pushed me forward. I descended the stairs, each step feeling heavier than the last. The darkness seemed to envelop me, suffocating my senses. The walls whispered in hushed voices, their words indecipherable, yet filled with a malevolent intent. As I reached the bottom of the staircase, a chilling breeze swept through the hallway, extinguishing the candle. I was now immersed in total darkness. Panic welled up within me, and I fumbled in the dark, searching for anything that could guide me. Suddenly, a soft whisper echoed in my ears, so close that it felt like a breath against my skin. "You shouldn't have come," it hissed, sending a shiver down my spine. I froze, paralyzed by fear. From the darkness, a pair of glowing eyes materialized before me, piercing through the black void. The eyes stared into mine, filled with a hunger for my soul. I tried to scream, but no sound escaped my throat. I was trapped in a waking nightmare. With each passing moment, the presence grew stronger, surrounding me with an otherworldly aura. Shadows danced and swirled, taking on grotesque shapes. The walls seemed to close in, squeezing the air out of the room. I struggled to breathe, my body trembling uncontrollably. Just as I thought I couldn't bear it any longer, the darkness receded, and the room returned to its normal state. I gasped for air, realizing I was back in my bedroom, drenched in sweat. It was as if the entire ordeal had been a horrific dream, a figment of my imagination. But the lingering feeling of terror remained, etched into my mind. I couldn't shake off the sense that something sinister had touched my soul that night, leaving behind a permanent scar. And as I lay in bed, trying to find solace in the silence, I couldn't help but wonder if the nightmare was truly over, or if it was just the beginning of something far more terrifying. I woke up in the middle of the night, my body covered in a cold sweat. The room was pitch black, the only source of illumination being the faint moonlight seeping through the closed curtains. A feeling of unease washed over me as I realized something was terribly wrong. I strained my ears, trying to catch any sound that might explain the knot of fear twisting in my gut. And then I heard it, a soft scratching sound, like nails on a chalkboard, coming from the hallway outside my bedroom. My heart raced, pounding in my chest as I mustered the courage to investigate. I slowly swung my legs over the edge of the bed and slipped my feet into my slippers, trying to silence the creaking floor beneath me. Step by cautious step, I made my way towards the hallway, the eerie scratching growing louder with each passing moment. The air felt heavy, suffocating, as if some unseen presence lingered in the darkness. My trembling hand reached for the doorknob, and with a deep breath, I pulled it open. The hallway stretched out before me, shrouded in shadow. The scratching sound had intensified, echoing off the walls and sending chills down my spine. I took a hesitant step forward, my mind filled with a mixture of dread and curiosity. The hallway seemed longer than usual, its walls adorned with old family photographs that now seemed twisted and distorted, their smiling faces contorted into grotesque masks. As I pressed on, the scratching noise led me to the attic door at the end of the hallway. The door stood slightly ajar, revealing a sliver of darkness beyond. I hesitated, my hand hovering over the doorknob, my instincts warning me to turn back. But a morbid curiosity compelled me to push forward, to uncover the source of the horror that had invaded my home. With a trembling hand, I pushed open the door and climbed up the creaky staircase leading to the attic. The scratching sound reached a fever pitch, filling my ears with a cacophony of dread. As I reached the top step, I froze, my eyes widening in terror. In the dim light, I saw a hunched figure, shrouded in tattered robes, huddled in the corner of the attic. Its back was turned to me, and its bony fingers traced erratic patterns on the floor, causing the scratching sound that had haunted me throughout the night. A sickening realization washed over me. The figure was not alone. All around it, the walls of the attic were covered in arcane symbols and twisted drawings, like a portal to a nightmare realm. The air crackled with malevolent energy, and a sense of impending doom engulfed me. Suddenly, the figure's head jerked back, its emaciated face revealing sunken eyes and a gaping maw filled with razor-sharp teeth. It turned its head towards me, its eyes glowing with a sickly green light. A blood-curdling scream escaped my lips as it lunged forward, a nightmarish shriek echoing through the house. I stumbled backward, desperately trying to escape the clutches of this unholy presence. But the attic seemed to stretch before me, the exit perpetually out of reach. The scratching sound intensified, mingling with the creature's haunting cries, as if the very walls of the house were mocking my futile attempts to escape. Hours turned into an eternity as I wandered the labyrinthine corridors of my home, pursued by the abomination from the attic. Its malevolent laughter echoed through the halls, driving me to the edge of sanity. Finally, as the first rays of dawn pierced through the windows, the house fell silent. Exhausted and traumatized, I collapsed onto the floor, knowing that the horror would forever haunt my dreams. The scratching sound had ceased, but the memory of that nightmarish creature would forever be etched into my mind, a chilling reminder that some terrors are better left undisturbed.